Welcome to the NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One, a big matchup in the Tuscaloosa Regional. The SEC Tournament champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide, meet the ACC regular season champions, the Clemson Tigers. Both teams with shutout run rule wins on day one of the regional. Clemson over Troy, Bama over Alabama State. Those two teams meeting in an elimination game a little later this afternoon. We are ready for the first of three in Tuscaloosa. Great to have you with us with the All-American at Tennessee, Madison Shipman. I'm Eric Freed, and what a great way to start the day. If you go by the ESPN.com NCAA softball rankings, Alabama is number 3, Clemson's number 10. So we have a top 10 matchup here today.
Well, Eric, this is the matchup that everybody has been waiting for all season long. We've got one of the best in the ACC going up against one of the best in the SEC. Not to mention these pitchers in the circle between Valerie Cagle and Montana Fouts are going to be throwing it down. Starting for the Clemson Tigers, Valerie Cagle in the circle was absolutely dynamic yesterday, moving the ball all throughout the zone, utilizing that drop ball, utilizing that off speed, and racking up 10 strikeouts on the day. But she didn't just stop there. She showed us why she's one of the best two-way players in the country. She didn't have just one home run, but she had two. In this second home run, I tell you what, making an adjustment on this changeup, blasting it out of the park to end that ball game early. She was absolutely phenomenal in her first regional game, but she's definitely going to have her work cut out for her going up against the co-SEC Pitcher of the Year in Montana Fouts. Not only does Montana Fouts bring the heat, but she moves the ball all through the zone, and that is why she is one of the best strikeout pitchers in the country.
Tale of the tape between the freshman and the junior. Impressive in the circle. Cagle adds the pop at the plate. And we know that Alabama has won 14 in a row, really clicking right now. Bailey Hemphill playing great as well. So that's the pitching matchup. We'll get into the details of this Clemson-Alabama showdown. First meeting all time between these two teams. First pitch is next.
The NCAA Softball Regionals is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Fans turning out early for this one. 11:05 a.m. first pitch at Rhoads Stadium. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Clemson and Alabama winning on Friday. Set to meet here today. Winner of this game has the upper hand in this Tuscaloosa Regional, and Montana Fouts making her first appearance of this NCAA tournament.
Montana Fouts is a pitcher that has been steady all season long, but she has continued to get better on into the postseason. You're going to see her bring the velocity. She throws it in the low 70s, and she has a nice rise ball, drop ball combination. She'll also mix that curveball in there as well. It's a unique combination of great spin and movement on her pitches.
Take a look at the Capital One starting lineup for Clemson. Mackenzie Clark will get things going. There are 6 freshmen in this starting lineup. Clemson in their first full season as a program. They played the partial season a year ago. Their first trip to NCAA tournament. Their first game was yesterday. Their first win was yesterday. And the first pitch from Fouts is fouled off by Clark. And we're underway. 11:05 Central Time. 81 degrees at first pitch. Great weather down in Alabama for this Tuscaloosa Regional. Clark outstanding at the top of the lineup. First team all-conference selection in the ACC. A threat to steal if she's able to get on base. Held up, it's 1-1. Her 31st appearance for Montana Fouts, her 27th start. 1-2. Her first appearance since wrapping up the SEC Tournament MVP honors, as she had an outstanding run, 39 strikeouts. The tournament record had 15 in the win against Kentucky, giving her 17 double-digit strikeout games this season. Clark with a roller to third. Morgan over to first, one down. Maddie Morgan's at third, Kaylee Tao at first, with Taylor Clark and Savannah Woodard up the middle for the Crimson Tide, who have committed 52 errors on the season, 9th in the conference in the SEC at .965 with fielding percentage. Mac Brown sides in the outfield, and Bailey Hemphill catching Montana Fouts. Well, when you talk about veterans on this young Clemson team, Ansley Gilstrap is one of those veterans, transferred into the program, grad student, third team all-conference, takes ball one.
Well, before yesterday, Ansley Gilstrap was the only player on Clemson's team that could say she had regionals experience. But now, after that first game yesterday, the entire team can say they have played at least one game in a regional.
I don't know if I'd call them NCAA tournament veterans yet, but compared to where they were at the start of play yesterday, yes.
Hey, they've got one more game under their belt.
Well, it's good to see. The butterfly headgear is back. We'll keep panning down if we have time looking for the unicorn. I don't know if Valerie Cagle's got the unicorn horn on today, but we'll keep an eye on that developing situation. This is a Clemson group that is young. They keep it loose. They have a lot of fun. But they have piled up the victories. Yeah, we've got the fairy tale wings. Those are good. Fairy wings.
I was going to say, I don't think we saw those yesterday. We still are on the hunt for the unicorn horn.
43 wins for Clemson this season. They've won 4 of their last 5. Strike in the Gilstrap. It's 2-2. Madison mentioned Gilstrap was the one with tournament experience. She transferred in from USC Upstate. She's battled injuries throughout her career. Didn't play at all last year in the shortened 2020 season. Played in the NCAA tournament in 2017. Actually at 339 in that regional for Upstate. And she looked set, strike 3, 2 down.
Montana Fouts setting Gilstrap up with that strike on the inside corner. Sets this curveball up perfectly. Look at the rotation on this pitch. So not only is she bringing it in there 70, 72 miles per hour, but it also has great late movement, just nicking that outside part of the strike zone. And Montana Fouts has her first strikeout on the day.
And now for the first time facing Valerie Cagle. Roger, strike 1. Madison told you about what Cagle did yesterday with the two-run homers. One and one. Freshman at .422 on the season with a team best 17 home runs, team best 45 runs batted in. You see her conference ranks. Fouts paints for strike 2.
It's a nice pitch on the outside corner, and I think yesterday we saw a glimpse of what makes Valerie Cagle so great up at the plate, just her ability to hit a whole bunch of different pitches. We mentioned that second home run that she hit in yesterday's game was on a changeup, and a changeup that she wasn't sitting initially going into that at-bat.
Swing and a miss. Fouts gets 2 strikeouts to start things for the Tide in the first.
Montana Fouts absolutely dealing, bringing the heat, striking out one of the best hitters in the country. This pitch is gnarly, moving away from Valerie Cagle, and Crimson Tide are picking up the bats.
Ready for the home half of the first inning in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the number 3 seed in the 2021 NCAA Softball Championship, will face the freshman in the circle for the Clemson Tigers. It's Valerie Cagle.
Valerie Cagle is going to bring the velocity as well. She likes to throw the ball in the upper 60s into the low 70s, and she works all quadrants of the strike zone. She likes to work the low part of the strike zone with that drop ball, and then she'll move it up in the zone as well with her rise ball and her off speed. That off speed pitch is the key for her today to get some swings and misses.
Capital One starting lineup for Alabama. Bailey Hemphill batting second. During this 14-game winning streak for Alabama, she's hitting .500 with 4 homers and 10 runs batted in. Walked things off yesterday, the run rule win over Alabama State. Talked about the freshmen in the lineup for Clemson, 6 freshmen in the lineup, 7 seniors or grad students in this starting lineup for Alabama. There's your contrast, the veterans against the upstarts, Alabama versus Clemson. Mack reached base all 3 times yesterday on bunts. 3 bunt singles for her in a 3-for-4 day with 3 runs scored, raising her average to a team best 424. As you can imagine, Casey Bigham will play in shallow on third here to try to cut down Mack. Bunted back to Cagle, a little too hard. Gives Cagle time to get the out, 1 down. Defensively for Clemson, you see Kaya Keller at first base. Pereira, Gilstrap, and Bigham also on the infield, and in the outfield, Logaleo, Clark, and Stewart. Logaleo played third yesterday, so she's in left field today. Grace Matamore was in the starting lineup yesterday. She got injured in the ACC championship game, left the game early yesterday, so she is not in the lineup here at the start of play today. Here is Hemphill. And a pregnant pause from everybody wearing Clemson colors, wondering where that pitch was. It's ball 1.
That was a good-looking off-speed to start off this at-bat against Bailey Hemphill. You notice how it has so much spin on it, still moving up in the zone. That one coming in about 59 miles per hour. And Eric, I'm not sure where that one missed.
2-0. That 72 number on her jersey does have some significance, does it not, Madison?
Oh, it absolutely does. Valerie Cagle is a player with a lot of goals, one of which was to throw 72 miles per hour, hence the reason why she wears the number 72. And of course, she's already checked that goal off of her list. She has thrown 72 miles per hour in a game before. So now for her goal for the span of her career, she wants to hit 72 home runs and rack up 72 wins in the circle.
Well, she's well on her way. 27 wins as a freshman. And after her 2 home runs yesterday, 17 home runs. Outstanding in the ACC and also nationally. 3-1 now, the count to Hemphill. Checked her swing, ball 4. And it's a 1-out walk for Hemphill. Well, Hemphill was 2 for 3 yesterday with that home run and 3 runs batted in. Is on base again. On base percentage at .574. And here is Kaylee Tao. That was 1 for 2 with a double and an RBI yesterday in the victory over Alabama State. She takes strike 1 from Cagle.
When I look at this Alabama lineup, I think that Kaylee Tao is one of the most important batters in their offense because she is somebody having to hit behind Bailey Hemphill as we go down the stretch. I would imagine that a lot of these coaches are going to make sure that Bailey Hemphill is not the one that's going to beat them, which means that Kaylee Tao is going to go up to the plate with a bit more pressure on her shoulders to get the job done.
During this 14-game winning streak, a .500 batting average for Hemphill, including 19 walks. Tao at .457. Impressively for Tao and Alabama, as you take a look at the numbers again, the 14-game winning streak, 12 of those wins in that streak against ranked opponents, as they take on ranked Clemson here today, number 10 in the country. There's a strike. It's 2-2.
And that check swing that you just saw from Tao, that's something that Valerie Cagle gets a lot of those check swings, gets batters guessing that they're going to see one pitch, and she throws it in a different direction. That heavy drop, that heavy downward movement on that drop ball along with the velocity is what makes it so tough to hit.
Chop straight up, foul ball. Oh, Bailey Hemphill was kind of just cruising around wondering what was happening there, and that's where a helmet comes in handy because it just whistled by her helmet.
Of all things she expected, I don't think she expected that throw coming down, the last-minute duck. Her and Cami Pereira over there at second base having a good laugh about that throw.
Another 2-2 to Tao. Haley Tao, senior from Madisonville, Kentucky, second team selection in the SEC. Really closed the season strong. That's part of the reason why her average skyrocketed. That season-ending sweep of Ole Miss, went 7 of 11 at the plate, 5 runs scored, 4 runs batted in, and then followed that up with a 4-for-9 SEC tournament. Tried to check, did not. Strikeout for Cagle, 2 down. Check in with Shay in the studio. Shay. All right, Shay, thanks very much. 2 down here in Tuscaloosa with a runner aboard, and here is Jenna Johnson. Takes ball 1. Sophomore delivered a 2-run home run yesterday, her first home run of the season, second of her career. One.
Alabama's a team that's had to fight through so many injuries throughout the course of this season, and Jenna Johnson suffered a dislocated kneecap, and she missed about 5 weeks of the series, but she has come back into this Alabama lineup without skipping a beat, continues to move her way up in the order, and we saw a look there at Claire Jenkins, that went down earlier this season with a season-ending injury at shortstop. And really, this entire team has embraced that next man up mentality. Who is going to come in to fill the shoes of some of the players that might have gone down with injuries? Both Claire Jenkins and Bailey Dowling up the middle, being replaced by Savannah Woodard and Taylor Clark, who have stepped up and done a phenomenal job.
Jenkins played 37 games for Patrick Murphy before her season-ending knee injury. She didn't play last year because of a knee injury. Dowling, the freshman, played 25 games before the injury. That was your middle infield at the time of those injuries. So Alabama has pieced it together. And here they are, riding a 14-game winning streak into this matchup of 1-0 teams in the Tuscaloosa Regional. 3-2 now to Johnson. Barely getting a piece, and Hyatt couldn't hold on to it. We'll do the 3-2 again. Big crowd at the Rhoads House. Clemson fans turning out. Lots of crimson in the stands on a beautiful May morning in Tuscaloosa, and the Clemson fans trying to root on Valerie Cagle, trying to end the inning here in the first. Grounded to third. Bigham to Keller to retire the side. We've played 1 in Tuscaloosa, scoreless between the Tigers and the Tide. On to the top of the second inning in Tuscaloosa, Alabama and Clemson. Scoreless, Clemson Tigers 43-6. They went 29-5 in the ACC, the regular season champions. 2020, before the shutdown, they went 19-8 in their first year as a program. First trip to the NCAA tournament. That strength of schedule probably cost them a shot to host a regional Madison, and they had 10 games against top 50 in the RPI. And I think a lot of people, when they saw, ooh, Clemson's going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, first of all, is like, well, wait a minute, we're the number 3 seed. What did we do to deserve playing a team as good as Clemson? But Alabama's season's been outstanding as well. When you take a look at 46 wins and 18 in the SEC, as this program tries to play its way to another Women's College World Series. It'd be their 13th trip.
I think that you said it exactly right, Eric. Those strength of schedule numbers, are what jumps out at you. When you look at Clemson, it's really due to no fault of their own. They originally were planning to go down to St. Pete, go down to Clearwater to play a full lineup of top 25 RPI teams. And of course, that tournament ended up getting canceled this season because of COVID. And the ACC also decided to eliminate 10% of their games right off the top and switch to a 4-game weekend series. So that eliminated a lot of midweek games that they could schedule. So really due to no fault of Clemson's own, they weren't able to get that strength of schedule number up in order to host a regional this season.
Two and one the count as you take a look at John Rittman in his second year as Clemson's head coach, ACC Coach of the Year. Took over in November of 2017 to build the program from scratch. And he's got a high rise already. The foundation, first floor, second, like keep going up. I mean, it's amazing how quickly and how great it has all come together. There's been amazing fan support from the university. Obviously, John, and he's someone you and your family have known for a long time in your playing days. Well respected, has recruited some talented players as we've seen. He's the first to admit, well, Valerie Cagle, that was a pretty good get for us. You know, that makes the wins come quickly and often as Fouts gets the strikeout, her third, one away.
And going back to Coach Rittman and what he's been able to do with this program, he said that it even happened a little bit more quickly than they had even anticipated. And we got an opportunity to talk to him this week and said, what is the key to your success? What is that magic sauce that you have been able to put together for this Clemson program to really climb the ranks so quickly? And he said, you know what? It sounds like a cliche, but he really wanted to build from a good, solid culture, recruit the kids that had the good fundamental characteristics that he wanted in his program. And like you mentioned, Eric, when you recruit somebody like a Valerie Cagle, good things can happen very quickly, as we've seen for this Clemson Tigers squad.
Fouts working to Logaleo with one out here in the second. Holds up, it's 1-1. Logaleo homered yesterday. Her 8th of the season, second team all-conference selection. You know, one thing too that fuels the success for Clemson, we've seen Duke, who's a seeded team, they make their first trip to NCAA, get their first win. Just the exponential growth of college softball and the popularity. We've seen the ratings. There are 47 games being played here today, and you can see every single one of those games. And you don't have to try hard to find them. It's just amazing how people just want to get on board the college softball bandwagon. And I think Clemson, Duke tapped into that. And things can happen quickly if you're committed to it. You take a look at the first appearance teams in the NCAA tournament. George Washington, heartbreaker last night, 11 innings against Louisiana. Morgan State, Villanova getting in after winning the Big East for the first time. Tapped out to second, knocked down by Woodard, and Logaleo has the first hit of the game.
And I think what we just saw from Aaliyah Logaleo in that swing is going to be the key for Clemson today. Not trying to do too much, knowing that Montana Fouts is going to provide the power with her speed that she brings on her pitches. Logaleo just pokes the bat out there, drives it up the middle, and able to reach base safely.
Cami Pereira steps in. So when you talk about changing your approach at the plate, you're not really talking about a drastic change. You're talking about that kind of old school way of let the pitcher do the work for you in some ways because of the way Fouts is pitching. You're not going to really make great contact, but try to make some contact, try to put it into play, try to make something happen and put a little pressure on the defense.
Absolutely, that would definitely be the game plan. Just because she throws with such high velocity and such good movement on her pitches as a hitter, if you get too long with that swing or get too loopy trying to drive it out of the park, she's going to eat you up all day long with her movement. So if I'm going up to face Montana Fouts, knowing she has that drop ball low in the zone and she also has that rise ball moving up in the zone, I would be shortening up my swing just a bit to make sure that I could put good, solid contact on the barrel.
Pereira 0 for 1 with a walk yesterday in the win against Troy. All tournament team selection in the ACC tournament. Clemson lost to Duke 1-0. Last Saturday, it was the only run that Valerie Cagle gave up in the tournament. Caught looking. Strikeout number 4 for Fouts. 2 down.
And because of that great movement from Fouts, she will get hitters guessing that a certain pitch is coming and she'll move it in the other direction. Look at this break, how it's breaking away from the lefty, Cami Pereira. You could see it on her face. She was anticipating another pitch coming inside to her. But that is a great job, not just by Montana Fouts, but also by Stephanie Van Brinkle Prothrow calling pitches in the dugout.
Want to know the count to Kaya Keller, freshman first baseman at 280 on the season. There goes the runner. Hemphill throwing from her knees and sliding in safely is Logaleo.
Bailey Hemphill made a great throw on this one. This throw looked like it was right on the money, throwing it from her knees, getting rid of it in a hurry. And Taylor Clark almost overruns this one by a little bit, trying to put that tag down.
Well, it looks like she got a piece of the thigh. Now, there is not replay review in the NCAA tournament. There was here in Rhoads Stadium for the SEC tournament, as we saw, and we saw quite a few reviews during that tournament.
And when I'm watching that one,
there is no replay. Yeah, no replay, Madison. There are 4 umpires on the field for the NCAA tournament. That looked like a pretty good pitch.
The entire stadium wanted that one called for a strike. But going back to that steal really quickly, my question is was her foot still in the air when Taylor Clark put that tag down? This is another reason why you see a lot of players diving into the bag, because that front foot has to get up and over the base.
Got her on the thigh. Good point, Madison. Here's a 2-2. And then what wasn't a factor there, because she was called safe, but we had an obstruction call yesterday, and that is the tricky one, because she came into the base path. Could obstruction have been called if they indeed called her out? But
and the timing of it looked like
safe.
When Clark was in the base path, she already had possession of the ball.
Fouts gets the strikeout. That's 5 for Montana Fouts. So a runner left in scoring position for Clemson. 1.5 done in Tuscaloosa, scoreless. Ready for the bottom half of the second inning as Valerie Cagle gets loose. And at practice earlier this week at Clemson, they had a special guest. You know, the head football coach for the Clemson Tigers, Dabo Swinney, went there, talked to the team about a half an hour. But I think he was there for one purpose, and this is the moment. He wanted to bat flip. He went with a hand switch bat flip. Now, the problem is it was just focused on him, so you know, after several years, Madison, that could end up being a 450-foot home run. One thing we know for sure, it wasn't Valerie Cagle in the circle facing Coach Swinney, and Cami Pereira, her teammate, made sure of that, because when we said who served up the meatball to Coach Swinney, Cami said, not Val, that's for sure, because no one would make good contact against her.
It was not a Cagle drop ball, that is for sure. And we do know from talking to Coach John Rittman that Coach Dabo Swinney did get a couple of good practice swings in, but he said that he wanted to make sure he got a good bat flip on the last one, had to end on a good one. So there we're seeing a good practice bat flip swing.
Should
on
I
that
ask
BP.
you to break down the swing?
I'm not going to break down the swing. I will say he's moving in the wrong direction. When you hit a long ball like that, when it's a no-doubter, you got to start moving towards first, not back towards the third base dugout. That's my only critique on that swing. Other than that, it was textbook bat flip.
Well, we know it wasn't Cagle in the circle because tough to hit this. That misses the mark. It's 1-2. They were thrilled, by the way, to have them there in all seriousness. He spoke for about 30 minutes, just, tried to give them a pep talk, but you can tell, big fan of the softball program and the players that we talked to this week. Thought it was just a really cool experience to start their NCAA tournament week. This one is hit well to center field, but moving in to get it is Clark. And Sides is retired for out number 1. Back to Shea in the studio. All right, Shea, thanks very much. The winner of that region takes on the winner of this region. So that's one that the teams here will be keeping an eye on as we go along. And Kentucky's a team that had some bumps midseason, but certainly seemed to be straightening things out towards the latter portion of the season.
We talk about good two-way players. Kentucky has quite a few of them on their squad, whether it be Grace Ballman in the circle, Autumn Humes. They can get it done.
Ground ball to shorts. Gilstrap to Keller to retire Woodard, 2 down.
Already we're seeing some pretty solid defense from Clemson, and that's definitely going to be a key in today's game, knowing that Valerie Cagle throws the ball down in the zone. She's trying to induce not just strikeouts, but a lot of ground ball outs as well. A good job by Gilstrap coming up to charge that one and get out the speedy Woodard going down to first.
There's strike 1 to Maddie Morgan. Senior was 0 for 2 yesterday. Yeah, and I know, just the one last thing on the football coach, I know the Alabama fans watching say, well, Nick Saban could go up there from both sides of the plate and go deep, just on demand. We understand how that all works when it's Clemson and Alabama. We get it. It's that kind of rivalry for the first time meeting in softball, scoreless after 2. Women's College World Series back in Oklahoma City. It begins Thursday, June 3rd, noon Eastern on ESPN. For more information on the 2021 Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official home for all 90 NCAA championships. That is pulled foul by Abby Stewart to get things going here in the top half of the 3rd inning for Clemson against Montana Fouts. Freshman right fielder at .272 on the season, 0 for 2 yesterday against Troy. 1-1. Fouts has just been a strikeout machine. 5 already today through 2 innings. In her last 4 starts, 27 2/3 innings of work, 51 strikeouts, 3 walks over those last 4 starts.
Is that good, Eric?
That's pretty good, Madison. And that's number 6, Madison, 1 down.
The Montana Fouts just keeps wanting to make sure we're updating our strikeout numbers as this game goes on. She is just so good. And one of my favorite stats about Montana Fouts, of course there are several, but it's just how she continues to get better as the week goes on or the weekend goes on. And I think we saw a great example of that last week at the SEC tournament. She kept on firing on all cylinders all week long. And she said she even felt better on day 3 of that tournament than she did on day 1.
Yeah, I know Patrick Murphy told you post-game during the SEC tournament when you were talking to the Alabama head coach that Montana Fouts had gone to him and say, oh, I feel better than I did yesterday. And with a little smile this week when we talked, like, is that just something when we talked with Montana, it's something you just tell a coach because that's what the coach wants to hear, or you have to say, nope, that's how I felt, and he believed her, and you've got to have that honest communication if you're really going to map out how you're going to use pitchers and play back-to-back games like you do in an SEC tournament and in an NCAA tournament.
I think a big reason for when I'm watching her pitch, and one of the reasons why she continues to get better, is because of how effortless her pitches look, how effortless her windup looks. She utilizes that length. She is 6'1". She's got a great presence in the circle, and she never looks like she's laboring too hard out there on any one of her pitches.
1-2 to JoJo Hyatt is fouled off. First plate appearance of the NCAA tournament for Hyatt, who started behind the plate but was hit for Friday. Four strikeouts in a row for Montana Fouts. 2 down here in the third. Well, we got quite the stacked sports lineup. It continues tonight and into tomorrow. NBA playoffs are on ESPN this afternoon, and we'll have game 1 between the Celtics and Nets on ABC at 8 Eastern time. At the same time on ESPN, it's the junior welterweight unification bout between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. Tomorrow morning, ESPN2 Monaco Grand Prix gets the day started. Then the final round of the PGA Championship is on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Catch it all on the app as well. That's today and tomorrow. And of course, we'll have plenty of softball sprinkled in as well. I mentioned 47 games today. And everybody wrapped up as of tomorrow. And the Super Regionals will be set. That misses. It's 2-0 to Clark, who grounded to third in the first. Just 2 balls put in play so far by Clemson. Clark's ground out in the first. Infield single for Logaleo in the second. Reminiscent of Lexi Kilfoyle's performance yesterday. She had a career-high 15 strikeouts in that victory. Just misses. It's 3-1.
Eric, you mentioned Lexi Kilfoyle yesterday. She's somebody else that throws with a lot of good velocity, but she has that great drop ball, that great downward movement. And Alabama State was just not able to make an adjustment on that pitch. But that's something Alabama just absolutely loves, to not only have a great strikeout pitcher in Montana Fouts in the circle, but also to have Lexi Kilfoyle to use whenever you need to as well.
Back up the middle and a base hit. Second hit off of Fouts for Clemson. This one makes it to the outfield. First hit out of the infield belongs to Mackenzie Clark. She's aboard with 2 down.
A really solid at-bat by Mackenzie Clark. You mentioned she put the ball in play back in her first at-bat, grounding out to third base. This one shortens up her swing, doesn't try to do too much, and just pokes that one right back up the middle. And already you're seeing her get into her stance over at first base. She is definitely a stolen base threat over there as well.
She is in the starters blocks, 21 of 27 on stolen base attempts, and doesn't take much for her to take that base as it got caught down in the dirt. Hemphill tried to find it. So Clark is in safely.
Really hard to get a great jump when she's in that position, but she does it so well, so consistently every single time. And that pitch going down and inside to Ansley Gilstrap. Bailey Hemphill wasn't able to even make a throw on that one. And now a runner has moved over into scoring position now with 2 away.
Gilstrap struck out looking in the first. One and one. 15 of the 16 outs for Alabama's Kilfoyle yesterday came by way of strikeout. 8 of the 9 outs so far for Montana Fouts have come by strikeout. Chance to add to her total right here, ahead in the count, 1-2. Popped up, Fouts calls for it and puts it away to retire the side. So Clark left stranded at second after 2.5, still scoreless. Welcome back to the NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One. Eric Freed, Madison Shipman, and our crew down in Tuscaloosa. Clemson and Alabama scoreless. Clemson with a couple of hits so far. Alabama looking for their first hit against freshman Valerie Cagle, who's allowed just a walk. That was to Bailey Hemphill in the first inning. 1 strikeout for Cagle. 7 already for Fouts in her 3 innings of work.
Well, both of these pitchers just throwing extremely well from what we've seen today. Valerie Cagle going through the lineup for the first time going up against Alabama. I like the idea of pitching around Bailey Hemphill. That was one of those intentional walks where she really didn't bring anything too good over the heart of the plate. Really the only pitch that we saw that might have been hittable was that first pitch off speed that she threw that was ultimately called a ball. But pitching around Hemphill to force somebody else in this Alabama lineup to beat them. And so far, Cagle looking good out there in the circle.
8-9-1 for Alabama as Taylor Clark leads off. Shows the bunt, pulls it back for ball 1. Clark, the senior shortstop, 0 for 2 yesterday against Alabama State. Two and 0. Alabama knocked off Alabama State 9-0 yesterday. They had 12 hits, a couple of home runs, a combined no-hitter for Kilfoyle and Crystal Goodman. On the short hop, nifty little pick, but a high throw. And Clark is aboard to start things in the 3rd. Back to Shea in the studio. Thank you, Shea. Base hit for Clark is the first hit of the afternoon against Valerie Cagle for the Crimson Tide. And here is Alyssa Brown. Senior at .388 on the season. Offered at it for strike 1. It's 1-1.
Alyssa Brown's almost like a second leadoff hitter back there in that 9-hole. Up there to put the ball in play, set the table for their big-time hitters in Bailey Hemphill and Kaylee Tao.
Good bunt from Brown. This is going to be trouble for Clemson. She beats it out first and second. Nobody out for Alabama in the 3rd.
The beauty of having so much speed in your lineup is you don't just have to resort to your traditional sacrifice bunt. Here, Alyssa Brown using that sneaky bunt. Great touch on that ball, bunting it right back to Valerie Cagle, who makes a good play on it. But because of the speed of Alyssa Brown, she beats out that throw just barely. So instead of having 1 out, runner over at second base, they now have 2 runners on board with nobody away.
And Mack most certainly will be trying to bunt here, you would think. She does, and bunts it foul. Well, That's what's so important for Alabama. We've talked about the Crimson Tide doing it more with the speed and the small ball. 35 home runs on the season. That's not a big number when you take a look at the big picture in college softball. But they have the ability to keep the line moving. And they've done it here. The 8 and 9 hitters getting on. Now you're to the top of the lineup with Mack, 1-1. Clemson challenged for the first time here in the NCAA tournament. Cagle in a jam here in the third. Mack bunts it beautifully, and she beats it out. Bases loaded for Alabama, nobody out. And look who's coming to the plate at the Rhoads house. Here comes Bailey Hemphill.
And another reason why the speed is so important is to get people on base, to set the table for Bailey Hemphill. This is a look at what she did yesterday against Alabama State, blasting that ball well over the left field wall. And now the Crimson Tide has the bases loaded, and that is going to force Valerie Cagle to have to throw to Bailey Hemphill.
556, 4 homers over the last 4 games. That's the SEC tournament into the NCAA tournament.
She is somebody that Coach Patrick Murphy says has an unslumpable swing, and that's exactly why you're seeing Coach come out and have a conversation with not just his pitcher and Valerie Cagle, but also the infield as well, to discuss how they can try to get out of this jam here, knowing that they're facing one of the best hitters in the country in Bailey Hemphill. And that swing, she is so strong, she can hit any pitch that you throw up there. So this is a big-time challenge here for Cagle in the circle. The freshman going up against the veteran in Hemphill.
If you're John Rittman, are you out in the circle there telling your freshman to challenge her, to give her anything closer? You need a strikeout, obviously. Ground ball right up there as well. But what's the mindset here for Clemson, this young team here playing against Alabama for the first time in program history?
I think this is really going to test the finesse out of Valerie Cagle, and what I mean by that is attacking the strike zone, but attacking the outer parts of the strike zone, not leaving that ball too big over the heart of the plate. That right there, it's a good start. But see, and when you look at the take that Bailey Hemphill just took, wasn't necessarily a big fan of that pitch. Maybe she thought it was a little bit too far inside, but here you notice that shimmy in her shoulder. She says she does that to refocus every single time that she steps into the box.
Hemphill with a fly ball to right field, shallow, and it drops in for a base hit. Alabama takes the lead, and they're putting more pressure on the base pass, and the throw down to third is in time. So Hemphill brings in 2 runs, but Clemson gets an out. Crimson Tide on top 2-0.
And we've mentioned several reasons why Bailey Hemphill is so good, but another reason is her consistency and her strength up at the plate. That's a good pitch out of the hands of Valerie Cagle. Again, going up against one of the best hitters across the entire country. Good movement on this drop ball gets Hemphill to fly out to right field. But again, because the outfielders are playing so deep, knowing she's so strong up at the plate, it allows that ball to drop in to right field and give the Crimson Tide the lead.
And JoJo Hyatt held onto the ball for a moment, so Mack tried to take advantage as Hyatt turned around, but you can see a strike thrown to get Alexis Mack trying to sneak into third base. So 1 out. Hemphill is being run for here as Kayla Davis comes in. And here's Kaylee Tao facing Cagle. And there's strike 1. And that's the thing, to your point, Madison. Bailey Hemphill didn't make good contact, but she just hit it where they ain't and dropped in for the 2 runs.
Sometimes that's the name of the game, Eric. It doesn't have to be pretty.
Oh.
You just hit it where there's some open space in the grass and good things happen. And I can't help but think back to the top of this inning with Taylor Clark starting off this inning with a base hit, an infield base hit. And then you've got those speedsters in Brown and Matt coming up right behind her, putting the pressure on the D.
Popped up Gilstrap is called off by Logaleo in left field. 2 down. Well, an opportunity here for Cagle. Bases loaded, nobody out with Hemphill at the plate. If you get out of here with giving up 2 runs, you got to feel pretty good about things because Alabama made the first out of the inning at third base. Cardinal sin right there. Now they get the pop out to left field and a chance to get out of here with just the 2 runs. But Jenna Johnson stepping in now for Alabama, and she's been good at the plate.
And if you're Cagle, you're almost even more frustrated because you threw a really good pitch to Hemphill,
Yes.
got her jammed up, weak fly ball over to right field, but just because of where the outfield was positioned before she came up to the plate, allows that ball to find some room out there in the grass.
Johnson grounded to third in the first. 1-1. And Davis in the second base. Slow roller. This is trouble for Gilstrap, but she makes it look easy with the charge and the throw to retire the side. 2 runs for Patrick Murphy's team. We'll talk to him when we come back.
Hey, you know what? We're used to seeing the long ball out of Bailey Hemphill, but this one looks like a line drive in the books, dropping it into right field to score. 2 runs for the Crimson Tide. They're up 2-0.
Two 2-0 Alabama breaks through in the third inning to take the lead on Clemson as we welcome in Patrick Murphy, head coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Bunts, bloops, whatever it takes as long as there's numbers up on that scoreboard, right, Patrick?
That's right. Any fast lefties out there that want to play softball, email me after this and I'll take you because there's still a place in this game for a fast kid.
Always recruiting. I love it. Never an off day.
Yeah, and Coach Murphy, you know, I want to talk about Taylor Clark. She's somebody who has stepped up for you guys, not just defensively, but offensively as well. How big was it for her to start off that inning with an infield base hit?
It's huge, and, you know, you would love her as a teammate. She just works her butt off. She has Mudita for everybody on the team, and now she's getting her chance. She's doing a great job for us.
All right, Patrick, we appreciate your time, as always.
Thanks for being here, you guys.
Patrick Murphy, head coach for Alabama, 23rd season. Yes, they ended the game yesterday with a 2-run blast from Bailey Hemphill, and they get 2 runs here against Clemson on a 100-foot bloop from Bailey Hemphill.
Hey, it looks like a line drive in the books, Eric. And in regionals, you don't care how it gets done as long as those runs come across the board.
And the way Montana Fouts has been pitching, Madison, a 2-0 lead looks pretty big right now. Let's see if Cagle can cut into it here, leading off the 4th inning for the Tigers. Ooh, look out.
Everybody does look okay in the dugout. Got to be careful of those hard line drives. So not only is Valerie Cagle keeping everybody on their toes when she's pitching out there in the circle, but also everybody in the dugout needs to have their head on a swivel when she's up at the plate as well.
One and two. Fouts during the 14-game winning streak, 9-0, a 1.40 earned run average, 104 strikeouts, 65 innings of work. Cagle lifts one to left field. This is drifting into foul ground, and reaching up and grabbing it is Mack for the first out of the 4th. Back to Shea in the studio. All right, Shay, thanks. Duke getting the first win in their NCAA tournament history with a victory over UNC Greensboro yesterday, setting up the matchup with Georgia in Athens. A couple of close games yesterday. Florida with the walk-off win thanks to Hannah Adams over USF yesterday. Louisiana in 11 innings over George Washington in the Colonials' first ever trip to the NCAA tournament. Carly Heath with the walk-off for Louisiana. 0-2 the count now to Gombarda. BYU eliminated Arizona State in Tempe yesterday, so BYU and Virginia Tech meeting tonight. Virginia Tech's 2-0, BYU's 2-1. As Keely Richard will try to send the Hokies onto the Super Regional. Rise ball, can't catch that one. Another strikeout for Fouts. That is her 8th, 2 down. So here's some of the headlines from yesterday with Arizona State getting knocked off at home. Florida with the victory. Oklahoma. And I mentioned some close games, Madison. Then there were some games that weren't so close. Oklahoma, very impressive. And we mentioned the history for Duke and Clemson winning in their NCAA tournament debuts.
Eric, that Oklahoma team is just absolutely insane, and it's not just coming from one player. It's not just Jocelyn Allo that's getting it done all the time, but Nicole Mendez racking up 7 RBIs in yesterday's game. Just absolutely incredible that Oklahoma Sooners team is.
Ground ball through the left side and a base hit for Logaleo. So she is 2 for 2 against Montana Fouts here this afternoon.
And I think the key to her swing is yet again not trying to do too much. We watched Marissa Gombarda taking some big old hacks at that rise ball up in the zone, not able to get her barrel on top of it. Aaliyah Logaleo forcing Montana Fouts to bring the ball down in the zone and just finding holes to get on base.
Here's Cami Pereira. Pereira struck out in the second. Pereira transferred in from Furman, emerged as real leader for this young Clemson team, according to John Rittman, the head coach. A couple of home runs in the ACC quarterfinal win for Clemson, all tournament team selection in the ACC tournament. Runner was going and it was fouled off, and I think Hemphill caught the bat there.
Looks like maybe the foul ball might have tipped her throwing hand. Or maybe right there on her glove arm. Let's take a look at it. Cami Pereira taking a big cut at this one. Fouled off. Oh yeah, it looks like it got her right there on the forearm. Catchers have a tough job back there, and it always seems like they get hit by the foul balls wherever they don't have the protection, right? Right there on the forearm. About one of the only spots that doesn't have that catcher's gear padding.
Fouts goes up top, gets the strikeout, number 9 for Montana Fouts. So Clemson's been getting base runners on each of the last 3 innings, trying to chase them home. We'll talk to John Rittman next. Nothing. Alabama on top after 3.5. Joined now by the Clemson head coach, John Rittman. John, I know you've played in front of big crowds at home. This has been a program that's been one of the big stories in the country, but here you are in Alabama. Big game, NCAA tournament. How's your young team handling things here today?
I think we're doing fine. You know, it's a great environment here. Obviously, as a player, you got to love to play in this type of environment, and we're playing pretty well. You know, I think their speed got to us. We had a bang play here at first. It could have went either way. That didn't go our way, but that's fast pitch softball. So we've had runners in scoring position. We just need the timely hit like they got, and it's a heck of a ball game right now. 2 good pitchers going at it.
Well, and Coach, you mentioned the runners in scoring position. When it comes to that timely hit, what sort of adjustments are you wanting to see out of your players up at the plate?
Well, I think she's really tough, obviously. I mean, we've talked about moving around the box a little bit, but the biggest thing is when the ball's in the zone, we got to get barrel to the ball. And, I think with 2 strikes, we got to shorten up a little bit more and put the ball in play and make some things happen. But, Fouts is a great pitcher here, and she's making the ball break late, and that's always tough for hitters. But, we're giving ourselves a chance, and that's all we can ask for. We're still in the ball game, and hopefully we can get a few more opportunities here and tie this thing up.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
John Rittman, ACC Coach of the Year, leading Clemson to 43 wins on the season and a spot here against Alabama at Rhoads Stadium. This team in the field here, bottom half of the 4th inning, KB Sides to lead off for Alabama with the Crimson Tide on top 2-0. Cagle gave up 4 hits last inning. Nothing hit hard. A couple of bunt singles. The bloop hit from Hemphill was the key hit for Alabama to put them on top 2-0.
Really, Eric, I think the hardest hit ball of the game has come off of the bat of KB Side. She hit a nice line drive out to center field in her first at bat. One of the few players to get their barrel underneath that drop ball that was left a little bit up in the zone. And here already starting off 2-0 in a really good hitter's count.
Takes the cut at the 2-0 and fouls it out of play. Sides can do a little bit of everything. She'll use that speed, obviously, as Patrick Murphy talked about. You quick left-handed hitters. I'm surprised you didn't ask us to put the email up on the screen. But also has shown a little pop as well. Hasn't homered, but she'll take a healthy cut. Two from Cagle. Sides lays off. The count goes full. Second full count of the day from Cagle, and she walks sides to start things here in the 4th. So we take a look at the matchup between Fouts and Cagle. Fouts giving up the 3 hits, hasn't given up a run yet, and the strikeouts have once again piled up for Montana Fouts. On the season, Cagle came into the game with 250 strikeouts and 202 innings of work. But only getting that first inning strikeout against Kaylee Tao so far.
That's where I think Alabama has done a nice job of making the adjustment, knowing that Valerie Cagle throws with such velocity in the circle, not trying to do too much with their swings. We mentioned that KB Sides has really been the one that's put the best barrel on the ball so far today, and everybody else utilizing their speed up there at the plate just to put bunts down, put the ball on the ground to the infield, put some pressure on this defense and force them to make plays.
1-1. Winner grounded to short back in the 2nd. She's another one who's really raised her batting average over this winning streak for Alabama. That one is bunted foul, hit her while she was still in the box. 1-2. Woodard hitting .316 with 15 runs batted in during the winning streak.
And here's a good situation for Savannah Woodard to really step up. We saw her trying to square around and get that sacrifice bunt down, but we know what she's been doing over the past 14 games, been very good up at the plate. Here you need to have a productive out to move KB Sides over into scoring position.
Sides was going with the pitch. We'll do the 2-2 again. Little bloop out to left field, but it'll hang up in the air for Lugaleo for out number 1. We take a look at the bracket presented by Capital One. The winner of this game advances on to play Sunday at 2 Eastern time. The loser will be back to play today at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have an elimination game coming up after this one, about 2:30 Eastern, between Alabama State and Troy. 3 games here today with 3rd-ranked Alabama, 10th-ranked Clemson getting us started. There goes the runner, little late throw, and it's a stolen base for KB Sides with 1 down.
And there's one main thing I want you to notice on that stolen base. Maddie Morgan is a left-handed batter that typically does not run through the box, but she knew that KB Sides was going to be taking off on that pitch. So as an extra layer of protection, she moved her way up in the box to shield JoJo Hyatt from being able to see her, and she was able to move safely over into second base. Taking another look at it again, Maddie Morgan's typically a batter that stands in there to hit away, but she resorts to a slap type of motion, moving through the base to throw off JoJo Hyatt back there just enough to get that throw just a little bit low on its way down to second base and move on into scoring position.
Morgan grounds it foul, and it's 1-2. Morgan grounded to first in the second. 2-0 Alabama here in the bottom half of the 4th. Called strike 3. Second strikeout for the freshman Valerie Cagle. 2 down.
That's a big-time pitch by Valerie Cagle, going back to this drop ball. Look at the movement. Not only is it going down in the zone, but it's tailing away from the lefty. Maddie Morgan freezes her up on that pitch, just catching the low and outside corner of that strike zone. That's a big-time strikeout for Valerie Cagle.
I'll bring up Taylor Clark, who got things going last inning with the leadoff single. She scored on the Hemphill hit to right field. It's up high, it's 2-0. The run production and the run prevention combination has been outstanding for Alabama during this 14-game winning streak. They've outscored opponents, including today, 94-30 since their last loss. There goes the runner, and with the right-handed batter in there, took Hyatt a moment to recognize, and Sides steals third.
And again, Alabama is utilizing whether or not they have a lefty or a righty up at the plate to add that extra layer of protection for KB Sides on the base paths. Taylor Clark squaring to bunt, and what that does is it blocks the view of JoJo Hyatt back there behind the plate. As a batter, you have the right to the batter's box, so you do not have to move. And a good job by KB Sides to slide in there safely.
Clark pops it up on the infield. Pereira puts it away to retire the side. So Sides is left stranded at third. 2-0 Alabama heading to the 5th. Welcome back to the NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One. Tuscaloosa Regional Bailey Hemphill, a 2-run single in the third, accounting for the scoring. 2-0 Alabama. The winner will play tomorrow and remain perfect in this region. Speaking of perfect, Montana Fouts has given up 3 hits, but other than that, she's been close to perfect, Madison Shipman.
Her ability to move the ball throughout the zone. Hitters across the nation are so good that you can't just rely on your velocity, but you have to have good spin, good late movement, and that's exactly what we're seeing out of Montana Fouts here. And so far, she's been able to rack up 9 strikeouts on the day.
Yeah, when we talked with John Rittman last inning about facing Fouts, that movement, it's just really tough to make good, solid contact against the MVP of the SEC tournament. It's 1-1 to Kaya Keller, who struck out back in the second. Freshman from Hollywood, Alabama. Two and one. Big cut from Keller. Couldn't connect. It's 2-2.
We talked to Coach Rittman about his batters shortening up with 2 strikes. So here again, Kaya Keller taking a big old cut on that 2-1 swing. Now finds herself even in the count, 2-2. You can see her already choking up on the bat just enough to help herself shorten up on these swings.
Takes ball 3 and the count's full to the leadoff hitter for Clemson here in the 5th.
And every batter is going to have different strategies to shorten up on the swing, whether it be choking up on the bat or maybe starting your bat in a different position. But here, Clemson trying to make adjustments on their second time through the lineup.
Just gets a piece. Comes inside, swing and a miss. Strikeout number 10 for Montana Fouts, into double digits for the 18th time in strikeouts this season. Well, you want to know how I spent my night last night after we wrapped up our 2 games yesterday in Tuscaloosa? I went to 7 innings live. I could not turn it off. The studio crew keeping us up to date, taking you from game to game. Something's happening. They're going to get you there. It's happening now and through the weekend. 7 innings live on the ESPN app. Every game, every big moment on the road to the Women's College World Series, only on the ESPN networks. Abby Stewart struck out in the 3rd. 1-1.
You hear the crowd not agreeing with that call back there behind the plate. We have seen a bit of a tight strike zone today, and that pitch up in the zone has not been called for Montana Fouts or for Valerie Cagle on the other side of things.
Popped out of play. And you may disagree with it, but if it's consistent, that goes a long way. Maybe
right,
Bailey Hemphill having a little conversation with the home plate umpire just to confirm where the pitch was. And although they've had a running dialogue, I think Bailey has a running dialogue with every umpire, every game that you pay enough attention.
But I think that's a big job for catchers in general to have those types of conversations with the home plate umpire.
3 in a row, struck out by Fouts, 2 down.
And if you're Fouts and you see that Clemson continues to swing at that rise ball, why not keep on climbing the ladder? She goes way up in the zone with this pitch. Such good, tight spin on this one. Abby Stewart trying to get her barrel on top of it, but because of that late movement, swinging right underneath it, Montana Fouts continues to rack up those strikeouts out there in the circle.
Here's JoJo Hyatt, who takes strike one. One and one.
And Eric, another adjustment I think I'd like to see from these Clemson batters is maybe being more aggressive early in the count. Montana Fouts is known for her strikeout numbers mostly because she gets ahead early against these batters, and that allows her to move the ball throughout the zone and even up and out of the zone. I'd like to see them be more aggressive on those curveballs early in the count to see if they can get something back up the middle.
Because time and again, then you see where the count is now, 0-2 or 1-2, and Fouts has control, the upper hand. It doesn't go fishing, it's 2-2.
It also doesn't put any pressure on Montana Fouts either in the circle when you continue to fall behind early in these counts. She's in control the entire time, and as a batter, you want to flip that. You want to make sure that you're feeling in control, and one of the ways to do that is to be aggressive early on pitches that are in the zone.
Full count to the number 9 hitter, Hyatt, with 2 down here in the 5th. Logaleo singled in the 2nd. Clark singled in the 3rd. Logaleo singled again in the 4th. That's been it for base runners for Clemson. Two of those base runners got into scoring position. Logaleo in the 2nd. After stealing 2nd, she was in position, but back-to-back strikeouts from Fouts after the Logaleo single ended that threat. Clark got to second base in the 3rd. Another 3-2. Do it again.
Good battle that we're seeing here by Hyatt. Fell behind early in this count and took a couple of close pitches to work her way back here into a full count, and since then has fouled off some close pitches. You can see her choking up on the bat. There's about an inch between her hands and the knob of the bat there, doing whatever she can to shorten up her swing and get some good barrel on these pitches.
It's a dozen for Montana Fouts. She strikes out the side to end the 5th. Alabama 2, Clemson 0 in Tuscaloosa. The 20th, they'll be back on the beach at the St. Pete Clearwater Elite Invitational. Log on to the website for more information, and we hope to see you February of 2022.
Absolutely one of the best preseason tournaments across the country. We talk all year about trying to get that postseason feel. Well, that tournament in February definitely has it. Top matchups all throughout the weekend.
Brown reached on a bunt single and scored in the 3rd. Brown, Mack, and Hemphill due up against Valerie Cagle. Alabama hasn't been able to do much against the freshmen in the circle for Clemson, but they've done enough. And Brown was in the middle of things back in the 3rd. Tried to check, could not. It's 1-2. Change in the outfield for Clemson as Ariel Oda will head out to right field.
After that check swing by Alyssa Brown, Coach Patrick Murphy looked like he had a conversation with her. She's typically somebody that we see resorting to that slap or that bunt, and that one, she tried to stand in there and hit away and had a little bit of a check swing on a drop ball outside. So I'd imagine he's telling her, hey, utilize that speed, try to get on base.
Cagle gets the strikeout, 1 down here in the home half of the 5th. Back to Shea in the studio. All right, Shea. Well, Kentucky jumped out in the first inning against Notre Dame, led 3-0 after 1, but 5 in the second, 4 in the third for the Irish representing the ACC. So they're on top 9-3, thanks to 10 hits against Kentucky. Top of the order now for Alabama, Alexis Mack, who's 1 for 2. Mack with a little slap down to third, and the throw over to first from Bigham is in time, 2 down.
Talking to Coach Rittman, one of the things he really wanted to work on this season was their defense, and he said one of the anchors for their infield defense is Casey Bigham over at third base, making a great grab on that ball. Speedy Alexis Mack, there is no time to make any sort of bobble, any sort of mistake, and she fields that one confidently, throws her out for out number 2.
Five in a row retired by Valerie Cagle, and here is Bailey Hemphill. He's reached base twice, walked in the first, singled in the 2 runs in the third. Now 3 for 4 in the regional with 5 runs batted in. This is inside. It's 3-0.
See Valerie Cagle just looking
yes.
a little frustrated. Of all batters to have a really tight strike zone, Bailey Hemphill is not the one that you want to have a tight strike zone against. Those pitches not missing by much, but she is not getting the calls.
And it turns out to be a 4-pitch walk. And Hemphill's aboard for the 3rd time today.
Even that last pitch did not look bad. It looked like maybe Cagle missed her spot just by a little bit compared to where JoJo Hyatt was set up initially. Those pitches not missing by much, and Bailey Hemphill recognizing that there's a tight strike zone back there behind the plate, and she was not going to take her bat off of her shoulder unless that thing was piped right down the middle.
Ball 1 to Kaylee Tao, who's 0 for 2. Two and 0. Grounded through to center field and a base hit for Tao. That's her 2nd hit of the regional. 1st and 2nd with 2 down for Alabama.
Kaylee Tao doing a nice job on that pitch, laying off of the off speed, waiting for Valerie Cagle to throw that drop ball in there again. Doesn't try to do too much with it. Gets on top of this one, but just drives it right back up the middle, right past the diving glove of Ansley Gilstrap. And now Alabama has 2 runners on board with 2 away.
Hemphill at 2nd, Tao at 1st, and here's Jenna Johnson. 80th pitch from Cagle is in there for strike 1. Johnson 0 for 2, grounded to third in the first, to short in the third.
Eric, something that's really been interesting here in the bottom of the fifth inning now that Alabama has gone through the lineup a couple of times is we are hearing the Alabama dugout yelling on the off speeds out of the hand of Valerie Cagle. And after she threw one here to Jenna Johnson, she turned and looked to the dugout. I think she's recognizing that maybe they're picking something up over there.
Cagle loses control of that pitch, and the runners will advance 60 feet, second and third for Alabama.
This is one of those moments for Cagle. It's a big-time moment. You've got to zone out the crowd. You've got to zone out the opponent's dugout and really focus in on just this one pitch, just this one moment.
Grounded to third, so Cagle bears down, gets the ground ball. And there were a few things working against her. Maybe the tight strike zone, the crowd getting on her, the ball six chant, and maybe the pitches being spotted from the dugout. We'll see how she reacts going forward. If you have not already, be sure to download and listen to the 7 Innings podcast. Great recap of the selection show and also some of their very strong opinions on how maybe the process should play out in the future, because we know there were a lot of folks from coast to coast who weren't thrilled with where their favorite team was placed in this tournament in some cases. So you can download that, listen in. As we head to the sixth. Top of the order for Clemson, Mackenzie Clark leading off against Montana Fouts. Grounded hard foul, it's 1-1. 4 in a row retired by Fouts, all by way of the strikeout.
Well, Mackenzie Clark definitely looking to break that streak. She's had a couple of really good at-bats off of Montana Fouts, and her last at-bat in the third inning, driving a ball right back up the middle. Coach John Rittman says she's somebody who is calm, cool, and collected in that leadoff position. That's why he likes her there. So she's going to try to set the tone for the rest of their offense here in the top of the sixth inning.
Fly ball hit deep to left, way back, but hooking foul. Good pop shown by Mackenzie Clark, who has 9 home runs on the season.
Eric, we've talked all game about the strategy being shortening up against Montana Fouts. Mackenzie Clark has a very short swing, so she doesn't have to make too many mechanical adjustments, but that foul ball right there is a great example of how you let Montana Fouts provide the power in your swing.
Clark will get a base hit here, her second of the game, and Clemson has the leadoff batter aboard here in the sixth.
That calm,
Clark is 2
cool,
for 3.
and collected mentality, really using that to her advantage. She has a really long foul fly ball, comes back, continues with that shortened up swing, and just pokes it right through the 5-6 hole to get something going here for the Tigers.
Clark will get back into the starters blocks here. We'll see how aggressive Clemson gets on the base pass, down by 2 with nobody out, and Gilstrap at the plate. Gilstrap, a little bloop, and unproductive out for Clemson, 1 away.
And you just said it, Eric. It's those unproductive outs. As soon as you get a runner on board, knowing you're going up against one of the best pitchers in the nation in Montana Fouts, you have to do whatever you can to put that ball on the ground and move that runner on over into scoring position. So now it puts Clemson here in an interesting position. Do you send her to put her into scoring position knowing that you just gave up an out at the plate? And you've got your best hitter in Valerie Cagle up there as well.
Cagle tried to tie it up with one swing of the bat. Swing and a miss for strike one. She's 0 for 2. Struck out in the first, fouled out in the fourth. Cagle with 2 homers yesterday, giving her 17 on the season to lead the team. Grounded to third, Morgan to first, 2 down. Clark to second.
Good job by Maddie Morgan there, knowing that Clark has so much speed on first base that she was not going to be able to get her out at second. She makes sure she gets the sure out over at first. And 2 away now for Montana Fouts.
Good job by Montana Fouts, too. Gilstrap didn't make solid contact, nor did Cagle. 2 down for Gombarda. Gombarda homered yesterday, but she struck out twice here today against Fouts. That's 13 for Fouts.
Montana Fouts thrives in these pressure situations. Big time strikeout here, going up in the zone to get Gombarda swinging and put her team back up to the plate.
Back at the NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One as we take a look at the bracket. The winner of this game plays Sunday at 2 Eastern time. They'll remain undefeated in this regional. The loser plays today, 5 o'clock Eastern time, against the winner of our next game between Alabama State and Troy. 2 runs in this game. They came in the 3rd inning, Madison Shipman.
And Taylor Clark got it going with this infield single, legging it out, and then it's the speed game from Alabama, starting with Alyssa Brown laying down a bunt, and then Alexis Mack following her up with another bunt to set the table for Bailey Hemphill, dropping this one out into right field to score 2 runs for the Crimson Tide. And the score holds true here in the 6th inning.
Bottom half of the 6th for Alabama. Sides, Woodard, and Morgan due up against Valerie Cagle. 0-1. Sides lined out to center in the 2nd, walked in the 4th. We started to talk about a little bit last inning when Cagle was in the circle. It's easy to forget that she's a freshman after all she's accomplished for the Clemson Tigers. But this is the toughest atmosphere, the biggest game that this young program has played in so far, now in their 2nd season of existence.
And she's thrown really well out there in the circle. Not very many hard-hit balls. And Alabama really just capitalizing on their speed, being able to score with a couple of infield hits, and that bloop single by Bailey Hemphill has really been it. And I know we mentioned it earlier in this game. I think KB Sides has one of the hardest hit balls off of Valerie Cagle, and it went right to her center fielder behind her.
All right, one skips up, count goes full. Hard hit, but to the first baseman Keller for the first out, and we check back in with Shea.
Second baseman number 23, Savannah Woodard.
Thank you, Shea. Line drive foul off the bat. Savannah Woodard with one down here in the sixth. Tuscaloosa Regional. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Eric Freed, Madison Shipman, and our crew. First of 3 games we'll have for you here today. Troy and Alabama State will play an elimination game after this one, and then the loser of this game will take on the winner of that game. Alabama has not lost a regional game since 2007. They've won 41 in a row after their win over Alabama State yesterday. Two and one.
Eric, I know we talked about it earlier in this game, but just the vast difference between Alabama and Clemson as far as their postseason experience. Of course, Clemson being in their first ever program regional. Alabama, definitely the veteran team out here on the field. Coach Patrick Murphy is just somebody who always gets his team ready to play in the postseason, no matter what happens during the regular season, no matter what sort of challenges they have to work through, whether it be injuries, illness, whatever. They are always ready to play when it comes regional time.
Three and two, the count. We saw Oregon's winning streak in the regional came to an end. 5-1 loss to Texas State yesterday. They had won 27 in a row, and you see the most super regional appearances since 05. Longest active streak. There's a ground ball. Base hit for Woodard. She's 1 for 3 and aboard with one down here in the 6th inning.
Alabama showing their resiliency all season long. Savannah Woodard having to step up and play second base for Bailey Dowling when she went down with that season-ending injury. And we knew she was going to be solid defensively, but has really picked up the bats. A fantastic at-bat off of Valerie Cagle, fouling off the ball down the left field line and able just to find a hole, poke it up the middle to keep that momentum in Alabama's dugout.
And now one-on-one conversation and a quick one between John Rittman and his star Valerie Cagle. Before yesterday, Cagle's last appearance was in the ACC title game. She struck out 13, gave up just 2 hits, just 3 balls left the infield. But it was a 1-0 win for Duke. Feels a little similar here today against Alabama.
I was going to say, those infield hits really seem to be the Achilles heel for this Clemson squad. You look back to that ACC tournament championship game. One of the craziest balls, I think, ever put in play by Duke. Had so much spin on it that it bounced foul and kicked back into fair territory. And that run ended up coming around to be the game winner in that championship game.
That run was scored on a ground out on the infield, so Duke manufactured it. Clemson facing a little something similar here today. Down 2-0 to Alabama. That's used their speed, some bunts, some bloops to get this advantage. Montana Fouts has gone with the strikeout, yes.
You trademark the bunts and bloops.
Shirts are being printed right now. That one's hit pretty well off the glove of Cagle. And a high throw, and Morgan's going to be safe.
Almost thought Gilstrap had a chance to throw out Maddie Morgan on this one. Morgan putting a good swing on this pitch, right back up the middle to Valerie Cagle. Looks like the infield's going to come in and make sure she's okay. This one smoked off the bat right to her, deflects off of her glove straight to Gilstrap. And that throw just a little bit too wide up in the air. And that allows 2 runners on board now for Alabama.
Well, pinch runner here from Morgan. Sarah Cornell will come in and run for Morgan. And Taylor Clark will be at the plate. Now, for the moment, it's being scored an error. No, they just change it. They had pitcher, but it's an error on the shortstop, which is the right call, Gilstrap. And then Hyatt throws down the third. Woodard will retreat to second.
Man, Maddie Morgan hit that ball hard, but I definitely think Gilstrap had a good chance to throw out Morgan over at first base, and that throw just sailing a bit too wide is what allows her to reach base safely over there at first. And here Taylor Clark squaring around. We can tell the infield for Clemson is kind of anticipating that sacrifice bunt in this situation. The corner's pulled in.
Chopped to short, and Gilstrap lost her footing, but still threw a strike to first base. Pretty good job by Gilstrap. Play after making an error. Runners advance second and third, 2 down.
I'm not quite sure how she was able to make this throw all the way over to first base. She had the right idea, looking over to third, and then you're exactly right, Eric. She lost her footing, but a great throw over there to make sure she got the sure out over at first base.
Ansley needed a little degree of difficulty. And now time being called. Alabama's going to huddle up on the third baseline, and Hyatt will chat with Cagle. So a reminder what's at stake here. Winner of this game is in the driver's seat. They'll play tomorrow at 2 o'clock with 2 chances to advance on to the Super Regionals. Season is not done for the loser of this game, but they'll have to dust themselves off and bounce back for a 5 o'clock Eastern time matchup against the winner of our next game between Troy and Alabama State. Bracket is brought to you by Capital One. Second and third, 2 down for Alyssa Brown.
And Clemson knows that Alabama was able to capitalize on the speed the last time through the lineup. And here you can see just how far in the infield is pulled, especially Kaya Keller over there at first base. She is halfway up the line to try to cut down some of those bunts. I think that's exactly why you're seeing, especially on that pitch, Alyssa Brown standing in to try to swing away to see if she can hit it right past him.
The 1-1. Brown tries to bunt, fouls it off. It's 1-2.
You got to love the confidence that Alyssa Brown still has in her bunt, knowing that the corners are playing so far in. She was still going to try to challenge them, putting it down, forcing them to have to make a play. But instead, she fouls it off. Finds herself behind in the count now to Cagle.
Count evens up at 2-2. You can see Patrick Murphy in the foreground trying to pump up the Alabama crowd as the Clemson crowd was making a lot of noise to try to rally Cagle. Brown takes ball 4. The bases are loaded with 2 down for Alabama.
You could just feel how important that at-bat was. Alyssa Brown battling pitch after pitch, taking some close ones out of the zone, ultimately coming on top, getting on base. That is what she does in that 9 spot. She turns the lineup over to Alexis Mack to keep things going, passing the bat along to your teammates, speed after speed, to try to set the table for the big-time power hitters in their lineup. That was a great at-bat by Brown.
Kegel's worked hard. Warm day in Tuscaloosa. Temps in the mid-80s. 108 pitches. And now working the top of the order to Mack. Now Hyatt really wanted that one for her pitcher, Kegel.
That's another drop ball that's up in the zone. And again, Eric, we have not seen that pitch up in the zone called all game long. Casey Bigham coming over to have a conversation with Valerie Kegel, maybe to calm her down, make sure she's zoning in on her process, what makes her so good out there, and try not to get frustrated with that tight strike zone back there behind the plate.
1-1. Mack is 1 for 3. Reached on a bunt single in the 3rd. 4 for 7 in the regional. Chopped high and over the glove of the shortstop. 1 run is in, a 2nd run coming around and sliding in and touching the plate safely is Cornell. 2 more runs for Alabama, 5-0 tie.
And the slappers for Alabama strike yet again. A fantastic at-bat by Alyssa Brown, followed up by a textbook slap by Alexis Mack. This one pounded straight into the ground, and look at the hang time. Ansley Gilstrap trying to reach up there and get it, but because she moved too far into that baseline, the ball ends up bouncing right there behind her, tips off of her glove. So instead of 1 run coming across the board for Alabama, 2 runs come across. You can see just how fired up Alexis Mack is as she's running safely into second base. And that speed for Alabama never slumps, and we're seeing why it is so important for this Alabama offense.
Alabama not done yet. 2nd and 3rd with 2 out, and it's strike 1 to Hemphill. Been on base all 3 times today, a couple of walks, and had the 2-run single in the 3rd. They will charge an error to Mackenzie Clark on the throw. That's when Brown and Mack advance 2nd and 3rd. There is Alyssa Brown. Mack at 2nd after her 5th hit of the regional. 2-1. Call the strike, it's 2-2. Number 1 all-time in walks, added to her home run total yesterday, 62 in her Alabama career. 49 RBI this season.
Hemphill's ability to be productive, knowing that these teams are pitching around her, 226 walks, is absolutely insane.
Hemphill turns that one foul.
And she's somebody who has gotten better throughout her career at picking out pitches that she can not just put into play, but pitches that she can drive with authority. And that right there, that foul ball down the left field line is one of those scary foul balls where you're thankful that it was just a little bit inside and she turned on that one to drive it foul instead of somewhere in fair territory.
This has been a high-stress inning for freshman Valerie Cagle in the circle. Thrown a lot of pitches, and a lot of pitches under duress. Hemphill threw into left field. Being waved around is Mack. She slides in. 2 more runs for Alabama. 6-0 tie. Ailey Hemphill delivers yet again for Alabama.
You talked about the pressure that Valerie Cagle is feeling in the circle, and that's because Alabama does not let up 1 through 9. This is not a bad pitch. Look at how low in the zone it is. But Bailey Hemphill with that unslumpable swing, able to get her barrel underneath that ball, drive it out into the outfield to get another 2 runs across the board for the Crimson Tide.
And that should be the day for Valerie Cagle, because Clemson needs to start thinking about what's to come later today. Now down 6-0 in the 6th inning. And John Rittman talking things over. And that will be it for Valerie Cagle. Part of the message here has to be your day isn't done. You'll be back later today in an elimination game if Clemson can't come back in the 7th. So the freshman is done for the day. Alabama up 6-0, pitching change in Tuscaloosa.
By Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Well, hasn't been much happening for Clemson on the base paths against Montana Fouts. Meanwhile, Alabama continues to string hits together. Bailey Hemphill now with 4 runs batted in. That chases Valerie Cagle. Millie Thompson comes on for her 2nd appearance of this Tuscaloosa Regional. In to face Kaylee Tao. 1-1. Thompson pitched an inning yesterday, gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, and a strikeout.
I was going to say, I like this call by Coach John Rittman, knowing that you've got a lefty up at the plate in Kaylee Tao, lefty and Millie Thompson in the circle. She's got that curveball, drop ball combo, so a lot of late break on her pitches. And she's not somebody that throws with really high velocity, so it's going to be a drastic difference from what they were seeing out of Valerie Cagle in the circle earlier on this game.
17th appearance for Thompson this season. And a ground ball, too short. Stepping on the bag to get the force is Gilstrap, and that does it for Alabama. They tack on 4 more runs. 6-0 tie as we head to the 7th. Time now to take a look at today's Capital One rewarding performance. Montana Fouts keeps her postseason dominance going.
Montana Fouts just thrives in these big-time pressure situations, coming out in this regional game, moving the ball all throughout the zone, so not just relying on that velocity, bringing the ball 70, 71, 72 miles per hour, but moving it through the zone. And talking to Coach Rittman, he said that's one of the reasons why they're having a hard time making those adjustments on the pitches, is because of the late break that she brings in there. And Clemson down here to their final 3 outs here to make an adjustment off of Fouts.
Well, one player who has done well against Montana Fouts today is Alyssa Logaleo. 2 for 2, infield single in the 2nd, singled again in the 4th. 101. Lexi Kilfoyle yesterday and Fouts today have combined to strike out 28 batters. So of the 36 outs recorded by Alabama so far, and Kilfoyle and Crystal Goodman actually had a strikeout as well. So let's not forget that. So 3 pitchers have combined to get 28 strikeouts of the 36 outs so far for Alabama in this NCAA regional.
That Alabama defense really isn't having to do much.
Yes.
Back there behind those 3 pitchers, racking up all those strikeouts.
There's another one for Fouts, number 14, one down here in the 7th. Back to Shea. Now Mississippi State really can hit the long ball, and they're at it again here in the NCAA regionals.
Lua bringing that bat flip to Stillwater.
So we'll get you that one when we're done here in Tuscaloosa. Gammy Pereira 0 for 2, couple of strikeouts, down in the count, 0-2. Strikeouts for Montana Fouts, 2 down.
That latent movement, that spin on her pitches, I know we've talked about it all game long, but it just continues to get better inning after inning. Setting up that last pitch with the rise ball up in the zone and then goes down in the zone. Not just breaking down, but breaking away from those left-handed hitters. It is tough to make adjustments on those types of pitches. And another thing, too, when I watch Montana Fouts pitch in the circle, she does not get frustrated by some of the tight strike zone calls that we've seen back there behind the plate. They have been consistently tight all game long, but she has made adjustments in the circle. Pitches like that just barely missing out of the zone. Instead of over-adjusting and bringing the ball over the heart of the plate, she just keeps on creeping that ball into the lower and outer part of the strike zone. And another reason why she's been so effective today.
Clemson down to their final strike. Montana Fouts, her career high in strikeouts, 16. Happened this year against Mississippi State. Called strike 3. She matches her career high. Montana Fouts strikes out 16, and Alabama shuts out Clemson 6-0.
What a fantastic performance by Alabama, not just by Montana Fouts in the circle, but the offense having her back as well, utilizing what makes their offense good, their speed, their slappers, putting that ball down into the ground and forcing Clemson's defense to have to make a play.
Bailey Hemphill getting a hug from Montana Fouts, drove in 4 of the runs. Alabama has outscored their 2 opponents so far in the Tuscaloosa Regional 15-0. An elimination game coming up about a half hour from now between Troy and Alabama State. Clemson will play later today against the winner of that game. Alabama continues to roll in the regional round. 42 consecutive wins in the regionals as the Crimson Tide win it by a final score of 6-0. For Madison Shipman and our crew, I'm Eric Freed. So long from the Tuscaloosa Regional. Alabama wins it 6-0 over Clemson. Time to join Mississippi State and Oklahoma State in Stillwater.